It's no secret that Justin Trudeau has resigned as the Prime Minister of Canada. But what does that really mean? And how have families been affected since Justin has actually been in leadership? Things have been chaotic here.
It's been chaotic for a while. Final straw. I broke the camel's back. We've been in turmoil for the last 4 years. Since 2020, Canada's been a running joke.
Yeah, since the year.
Today we'll be talking about what has it been like living here the last 4 or 5 years.
Just from a family's perspective, what is it actually like living as a middle class? I say that lightly because middle class is non-existent at this point. How we are surviving at this point.
Pretty much. And in the last 4 years, lives has really changed for us. You know, we got engaged, we got married, we had our first kid, we had our second kid, we bought a house.
We're on our third kid.
So like we're in our third kid. So like life really moved fast, and it really moved costly. It was not cheap in the last 4 years, to say the least.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna be going over what the heck's been going on.
Yeah.
And so, as many of you saw in the news, yes, Trudeau has resigned finally. His party is overdue.
Get out of here.
Overdue. He will go down as the worst prime minister in Canada history, probably as one of, if not one of the worst.
Yeah.
From a conservative sense.
I remember when he first got elected, and we were just like, Canada is going downhill.
Yeah.
Because people did not see a lot of the aspects that he was bringing into this. He was a pretty boy that was a drama teacher.
And blackface.
That was another thing.
Yes.
But I mean, he's exempt from all that.
Oh man, it was when he first came in. He was a younger prime minister with nice hair. It was almost like a time of like, people were sick of what we were doing before. And this new guy was going to bring some new ideas. He was going to change Canada. We're going to go forward with this new Canada. And he really overpromised and underdelivered. He tricked a lot of people. And I feel like it was fine for the first few years until things weren't fine.
Yeah.
And so let's dive into a little bit more of that.
Okay. Yes.
What happened in 2020 again?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
I just know it was a bad year.
Yeah, it was a bad year, eh?
It was
a little whoopsie in there.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to try and keep it very...
We'll quickly kind of skim over it. People who are watching this from all over the country, around the nation, and you may not have been affected as much as we did.
Mm-hmm.
But
or you could have been worse like Australia and China.
True. If you're from Australia, I feel sorry for you as well.
Yes,
but
that was rough.
We as Canadians feel the pain, if not close to you. And so, that's when he showed his true colors.
Yes.
That's when the conspiracies of, is he Castro's son? What is his mindset really? He's a liberal, which if you're a liberal, you have a liberal mindset, which is free thinking and freedom of speech. That's a very fundamental, basic liberal thinking.
2020 was a year of, you're pushing us too far now.
Yeah.
And I remember that being a huge thing, like pushing things on us that, taking away, like stripping Canadians of our main...
all rights.
Yeah, all rights.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Whatever side, whatever you think and believe, whatever. But the main fact is that, like, our rights were completely stripped and, like, our human rights and freedoms is no more.
Yeah. And it kind of showed who he really is. He's not a liberal. Socialist disguised as a liberal.
Correct.
Is how we describe it. 2020, of course, it happened. And we were on lockdown for months. I couldn't work. You couldn't work for a little bit. But then you were essential services, so you had to go back to work. Yeah. We couldn't have people over. Yeah. We couldn't talk about a lot of things. We had to wear something on our face anywhere we go. Oh, on top of that, we were forced pretty much to take something that we don't want to in our body.
Potentially, depending on your viewpoint.
Pretty much.
But yes.
But if you want to go anywhere, if you want to continue this life that they, claim to have for you, you better take those 2 shots.
And this basically led to a huge divide. And I think this is where the big divide actually happened between conservative and liberal people. Because
I so agree.
Yeah, I literally had people, remember when I still had Facebook at the time. And this is kind of when I shut it down because I was like, this is boiling my blood. I can't handle it anymore. All of this negativity, blah, blah. Anyways, I would literally have liberal friends or acquaintances literally say that if you do not cooperate, I'll use that word, then you are no longer my friend.
Yep, and I've heard that too.
yeah, all right.
Yeah,
I
but-
guess we're not friends anymore then.
Yeah,
Like,
right? If
even
that's-
if I was on the same page as you, the fact that people are saying crap like that on the internet, that you're like ostracizing other people because of their decisions, blew my mind. So it was wild.
It's not even, it's the decisions of other people, but also like you don't even have all the facts. How can
They
you
have
talk?
the facts of the liberal news parties, which was everything. That's another thing
yes.
about, I don't know if it's everywhere I think it's everywhere in Canada. I don't know
Hmm.
about anywhere else, but literally all of our news platforms are left-winged.
Yeah.
So
So they're all pushing the same
yeah,
side.
so good luck getting both sides of the story.
I feel like you were exceptionally outstanding during that time. Because literally from the get-go, this lady right here was like, something's up. Something's fishy. And even I at the time couldn't really comprehend it, but you had a sense of some sort. And, you know, we've have smart friends in our group, right? That were just like, oh, just believe in this stuff. You don't believe in science? What do you mean you don't believe in this? That you have put in a body.
And that was alarming to us too, is, you know, smart people that we know from all walks of life. And it's just, hold on. And that's when I was really like, okay,
Yeah.
this is, no.
Yo.
Yeah, it was weird. And then of course I had my dad and my brothers, and our family
Thank
is
goodness
very
for-
much, we question, right? We ask
Yeah.
why and what are you doing?
Yeah.
What is the purpose behind this? And the fact that, you know, you say that it's one way. I mean, they did that with lots of things. They're like, this is not needed. Oh, but jokes, now it is. And so it's like, how can you be that confident in other stuff that you're pushing? It just didn't make sense, and nothing was adding up. And we were just very like, what is going on here? What is the actual agenda here?
Yeah. And there was so much pressure from outside. So
Yeah.
much pressure that you should do the things according to everybody else because we're right. You know, we know everything. And just questions couldn't be questioned.
Yeah.
It was wild.
And we also had situations too where the hospitals, they were like,
Oh, the
our beds are full. And I'm like, you guys have 8 beds.
Yeah.
Like, where's all of our
all
government
the
money
beds?
to get like different beds?
Yeah.
Like,
The hospital's massive. Where's all the other beds?
where's everything else?
I mean, I get it. I see you. It's a different kind of like,
That was the other alarming thing, is this is how we respond in a state of emergency because of a cold, right? I mean, that was really alarming, like, and eye-opening.
eye-opening.
It was eye-opening to see a lot of people and the way that they responded
Yeah.
in these ways.
Yeah.
I feel like we should move on from that. All of that aside, like, it was a rough year.
It was a rough year.
Things were divided.
Next
Let's
year
go
was
back
rough.
to yeah. And then we kept having like closures and openings and like, but anyways.
Okay. Anyways. That was a turning point. Moving on years.
Yeah, in 2021, which was when things were kind of up and down.
Yeah.
Now, however, with all of these restrictions that were upon us, raising our child with no help was
Yeah.
it was something. And I think the fact that, you know, and here's the other thing that just blows my mind is isolate yourself from everybody.
Yeah, that's a solution too.
That's a solution.
That's a solution.
And that was a red flag. I'm like, this is when you need to lean on people a lot.
Yeah, so you're trying to separate all
You're
of us.
separating every single individual.
And you're trying to turn us against each other?
Yeah.
What is going
Yeah,
on
don't
here?
get too close to me. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
weird.
Be
Anyways.
fearful. Be very fearful
Yeah.
of everything. You don't know
Everything,
who's talking behind your back. Your
Yeah.
neighbor could rat on you. while
Yeah,
having
if
parties.
you step outside, your
Yep.
neighbor could be watching.
Yeah, your neighbor
And
could call the cops
That
on you.
happened. That happened. People would report others.
Yes.
Because they were doing something that was off.
Exactly.
So, anyways, but yeah, raising a child without a lot of help that we pretty much needed for our new baby, our
Yeah.
first child. Yeah, we didn't really get that.
We lost that social interaction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I didn't get to go to any baby groups. I didn't
Nope.
get to experience like any sort of help. Okay, I could do online things.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
Yeah, woohoo.
Thanks for the lack of,
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was really tough.
Yes.
And that was the start of it.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, you and I have such a strong relationship and a strong bond that it did not affect us in any sense. We were living in a tiny townhouse. Yeah, I think actually after this debacle, I think a lot of people actually, their marriage collapsed as well.
Yes.
there was a lot of separations, and I can vouch for this because I worked in a law firm and I did a lot of divorces. So,
Yes.
yeah, it was wild.
Yeah, that's when
Just wild.
that's when a tide turned for the whole turmoil of Canada. That's when people were starting questioning things. Trudeau was being questioned of his leadership, of his character, of his true intentions.
I'd hope that people woke up a bit.
Yeah.
And then didn't you like a lot of times you were like, all right, people have to see this now.
Yeah.
And then there was another election, wasn't there?
Yes, he did the election. Yes. Yeah, I think it was 2020 because it makes sense because election is October of this
Right.
year. So he did another election so that he could be in power for another 4 years.
Right.
Yeah.
And Canada failed us again. And that was a huge... Yeah, I remember feeling so defeated. I know it sounds ridiculous,
Yeah.
but like at this stage, we were like desperate for
Yeah.
the time for him to just
Well, not even
go.
Yeah, for him to go and a savior with some common sense to come in and really take control because he was handing out package
Right,
left and right. And,
Yes.
and now all the business owners are paying for it now because guess what? You have to pay that back.
Yeah, and we had so many small businesses shut down because they couldn't
Pretty much,
survive.
they just couldn't pay it off.
And then we had people on this program that were like, heck yeah,
Free money.
we got free money.
We got free money.
And there was certain rules about you had to be okay. And here's the other thing is we've heard people that were on it for a brief period of time,
Yes.
and then they got penalized huge.
Right.
So they had to pay the government that and then some. But then there was other people that could just live off of it,
Yeah, for forever.
and then no penalization because they were on it for so long.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that was a huge thing too. And like, again, you're pissing people off left, right, and center. Those people wanted to go back to work.
Seriously.
And you're penalizing them versus people that actually sick. I don't have to work anymore. I'm getting more money than I did at minimum wage.
And how wrong is that? The government lends you money because you needed to survive because you couldn't work during that time.
Yeah.
That's wild.
And then,
So-
and then you get penalized because you were willing and ready to go back to work because you were allowed to.
Yeah.
And then the government does that to you.
All right, let's move on to something else that kind of led to a downfall of him.
Right.
Was the push on the agenda of the whole LGBTQ people movement. That was a big push after the whole, disease thing that happened.
Yes, because again, catering to the votes.
Yes, he wants to cater to votes. And so
Yeah, he catered to the poor people that didn't want to work with the whole government-funded program.
Yep.
So wins those people. Then he's got to move on to the next. And of course, he's been bringing in tons of immigrants in all of this time as well, which I'm not opposed to immigration by any means. My family's immigrants, your family's immigrants. That's not the point. The point is that there was so much help needed within Canada that he's instead helping tons of people outside of Canada.
Yes.
That was an issue as well.
I agree with you. We're all immigrants to Canada.
Yes, everyone is an immigrant,
depending what
yeah.
generation you're in. When immigration is done right, it can be very helpful, right? Because, we're a first world country, and first world countries tend to have less kids than other countries than, second world, third world, whatever. And so it's good to have immigrants come in. But when you have a mass amount of immigrants coming in, where there's no housing for them, when the medical system can't take care of everybody, and we were already under stress with the medical system. I
would like to just give a quick shout out to the medical system though, our nurses and stuff. They were great, and not going to downplay that they had a whole bunch of struggles. And yeah, just a shout out to them for the amazing work that they do and continue to do, because not
true.
something that I would ever be able to do.
Yeah,
So
true. And I personally know a few nurses who changed careers during that time.
yes.
So I can't imagine how many others have changed. Exactly. So immigration is a big problem, and it put a lot of stress with the housing crisis now. So in Canada, we have a housing crisis, and it's been going on for the last few years. We don't have enough houses for everybody who lives here, and we have the most expensive houses that we have in the entire world.
Yeah. Yes.
Where
Seriously.
local Canadians can't even afford to buy their first home.
So what was I think you have, even people in their 30s are still living at home because they can't afford to buy a house.
Yes.
And that's how bad it is now.
Yes, how bad it is.
We were fortunate enough to get in right before all of that had actually happened.
Like pretty much it's like
just in the
online,
brink.
and then
So
just boom.
yeah, so we were very lucky. We bought our townhouse. Thank God.
Yes.
Because if we didn't, we would still probably be living in your mom's house with our 2, almost 3 kids.
Seriously.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah, to give you perspective, we don't live in a big city. And back in the day, pre-2020, a person who has a single income could have bought something for themselves,
Yes.
right? Because with $250,000, $300,000, you could actually get something decent for yourself.
And mortgage rates weren't
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. That's a whole nother thing we got to get into as well.
Yeah.
But after 2020, a single person can't even pay rent by themselves, probably.
So I think, what's the stat now? I think like 45% of a single person's income goes towards a mortgage. Percent.
Man, you ain't watching no movies.
You
ain't
want
going
that
out.
Netflix subscription? Hell no.
You ain't buying everybody rounds of shots anymore.
Yeah. Dear God. So like, yeah, housing is insanity at this point. Like, the wage of an individual average here is 60,000.
Average, yeah, I think it's closer to that now, 50 to 60. Yep.
Yeah, and you want to buy an average housing price of $400,000? Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Yep.
And that's not even the worst. Like, if you go to BC, holy Hannah, like a shack is like 600 plus. It's probably even worse now. It was 600 like several years ago.
Yeah,
so,
if you live in Vancouver, Toronto, and you're trying to save up to buy a house, and you're in your 20s, you're not buying that house for a very long time, if ever.
If ever.
If ever.
And not only that, like, we have family and friends that live in Vancouver and close to.
And they have lost hope, it seems like.
They are struggling.
They're just like, I don't think I'll ever. And the thing is...
They're trapped.
And the thing is, back to the kids thing. When most people start a family, they want to have a house first, right? It's a typical, you buy a house, you get a car, get something nice. And the reason for that is because you can't have a family and rent. Because that house is not stable. The owner of that house can sell that house at any time. And now you got to uplift your family and move. Right? So that you need something stable in your life. That's why you need to buy a house. But if you can't buy houses, how are you going to have families?
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's not going to stop everybody. People are still going to do that. People rent and that's fine.
But it's a deterrent, right?
It is. And also, I mean, sometimes you just like literally don't have a choice. This is your only option. And like, you can't necessarily stop having a family because of that reason, but also kids cost money.
Yeah, seriously.
Kids cost money.
And they take up a lot of space.
And they take up a lot of space.
And they have a lot of energy to burn. So if you live a condo on the 45th floor with no yard, it's going to drive you nuts. Like, why would you have kids?
Yeah. Yeah. If I lived in a big city and I was stuck like that, there's no way we would be doing that right now.
You could barely fit a dog in there.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right.
Housing,
crap. Interest rate. Let's move on to that.
What was our interest rate at one point? Like 7%?
Yeah, 6.8.
6.8%.
We got up to 6.8%.
Yes. And so when you're not in a fixed or if you're in a variable mortgage rate like we were,
Yeah.
Holy.
Yeah. And our mortgage here is very different from anywhere else in the world as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, with 7%, almost 7% inflation rate, the interest rate had to go up to, counteract that, right? Because that's how you fight inflation. So our interest rate has gone so bananas. We were paying a double. We were paying 3-4 years ago when we bought our first townhouse.
Yes.
We're paying a double.
It was crazy. Housing is bananas, like you said.
And, I mean, hey, it's okay to pay double if your wage matches that, right?
If your wage matches that.
If your wage matches. Okay, can you...
Here's an example. What was it? 2021, 2022? Either way, cost of living went up 10%. My work give us a 1% cost of living increase. So each year that our cost of living keeps going up, I'm I don't even know what percentage of that is, but me being a middle class citizen, technically, now I'm down into the slums because my wage does not even come close to the increase of groceries and gas and rent and mortgages and all of that stuff. Like that, a 1% wage increase. I think I had extra $40 on my income for the month.
Right.
Whoo! That could probably buy me 2 packs of avocados.
Oh, heck yeah. And then milk went up 50%, so that's great.
Yeah. So groceries is a whole other thing.
Yeah, groceries is a whole other thing.
But yeah, that's, and then, I mean, minimum wage is a whole other thing too. Like that, like what is our minimum wage now? Like 15%? No,
15%.
$15?
I think still, yeah.
Okay.
I think you're going to jump it to 18, I've heard.
Oh, great.
Yeah, soon-ish in Alberta, so...
As a young individual, when I was 18, I'm like, heck yeah, like the minimum wage is going up. As a person that is educated, that has a job, that when somebody gets a $3 minimum wage increase, I ain't getting that $3 minimum wage increase to counteract that.
Oh, and you're fighting for that dollar increase too.
Yeah, and if you have to beg your company to give you a dang raise, the whole thing is just so messed up. So again, like I said, middle class, the gap is closing.
We're getting just boned up the butt so hard in Canada.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's wild.
So, thankfully, we had a house to provide for our kids. Thank God.
Thank God.
We were lucky.
So lucky.
Groceries now. Like you said, milk went up, what?
Yeah, like 50, 60%.
60%.
Yep. Eggs went up. All your basic stuff went up. Our average Costco trip, easily $300. Easily.
It's usually at least 300.
Yep.
Every time. And we're like, maybe it's going to be 200. No. Yeah, 300.
No, it's $300.
Every time.
And last you 2 weeks. And yeah, that's the norm.
Yeah. And we're back. Yeah. And here's like an indication too. Like we went out to a fast food restaurant thinking, let's just pick up a cheap dinner for the family tonight.
Quick.
So
at McDonald's.
I think we were at Dairy Queen.
Oh, Dairy Queen? Okay.
Which I mean is still a little higher priced in general, but
yeah.
$45 we spent for a family of 4 and a toddler that barely eats. Okay. Or doesn't eat as much as like an adult.
Exactly. Oh boy. That's another crippling thing that we're facing under too. Our dollar is worth nothing.
Yeah. Which in turn, with all of the imports that we're getting, that's again leading the prices to rise because our dollar is so shitty. Yeah. Like literally Justin Trudeau has stripped Canadians of any dignity. Literally no dignity is left for a Canadian. It's embarrassing, honestly.
I honestly don't even know what it means to be Canadian anymore. Back in the day, I feel like being Canadian was like a proud thing, right? Like you were Canadian, you're multicultural, humanitarian, beacon of peace. You know, you were nice people. It says A and a boot. And we got the loonies and the toonies. And we love hockey. Now it's just, I don't even know what it means to be Canadian anymore. We've lost every single proud things that we've had. They even changed our national anthem.
Dear Lord.
How can you change a national anthem? It's called national anthem for a reason.
Yeah, that's been around for years.
Over 100 years.
Yeah, they changed it to cater
to the woke people.
To people that have mentally ill traits right now.
Yes.
Skip all the people that have,
like screw those guys.
Yeah, skip people like us. Like we don't matter anymore.
Yeah.
And that's another kicker. Like regular class citizens do not matter.
Yeah, there's no rights for them.
We have literally no rights. I think it was I've heard so many people say this. It's like to be a white male in Canada is the worst thing you could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should be ashamed of yourself.
You should be ashamed for being
male.
white. Yeah. You should be ashamed of all the things white people in general have done because, of course, you have to carry that load for some reason.
Yeah. Like our veterans get treated like shit because we have homeless people on the street that need a whole new building that we're spending like millions of dollars on. I'm getting riled up.
I know
it's frustrating.
We're pissed at this freaking leadership country. Like we're absolutely pissed at this country right now.
Yeah. So thank God that he's resigning. Because, I mean, it's not anything great, but at least now he's not an option anymore for the no longer minorities, they're majority now, for them to vote him in again. Because at some point you're like, the third time you're like, all hope is lost. We have nothing left. I just think like the unfortunate thing with our voting is literally all of the east side of the country has control.
Pretty much.
We have no control on the west.
Yeah.
It's just no matter how many times this side of the country is conservative, it doesn't matter.
Even though when we make the most money in one province than freaking all other provinces.
Oh yeah, Alberta has been
we've been the moneymaker for
like freaking.
We've been
paying in the toilet.
Everybody's bills for how many years now?
Yeah.
And it really,
And I think Justin Trudeau literally had a speech where he forgot about Alberta.
Because we hate it.
And again, and I feel bad saying this because he is still human. He is, all of these things. But at the same time, you can't tell me he doesn't know what he's doing. And he's affecting tons of people's lives.
So I guess for those of you who don't really know Justin Trudeau, who he is, a special person since he was a kid. Because his dad was a prime minister for Canada for 2 terms. And he's actually been in the public eye since he was a...
dad.
Oh, right.
Right?
Right. Yes, for those conspiracists out there.
Yes.
And so he's actually been in the public eye since his dad was prime minister. And he's kind of been like potentially, this protege to be the next prime minister in Canada. And so, his upbringing was that, he became a drama teacher and he did this blackface thing. And and then he decided to be the leader of the Liberal Party and he ran for prime minister and he won in 2015, I believe.
Yeah, and the unfortunate part is us being around that age of how old were we in 2015? I mean, at that point where I was like, student loans, that still wasn't an enticement for me to vote for this guy.
Same. Anyways, but yeah, to continue what's been going on in Canada, criminals have more rights. If you're a reoffender, you go into jail, they spit you right out. You come into the crime, go in, come out.
We literally have people committing crimes close to winter time so that they can get somewhere warm to stay. And then they just get released again in the spring.
That's how our jail system works.
That's how our system
is
works.
A break from the winter. So you get some nice food, shelter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you commit a sexual assault against a kid. Guess what? You get the option to be in a certain spot in a jail so that you don't get to go with the other jailmates where you'll get murdered, which...
How nice.
How nice is that?
It's good to think about.
So nice.
And
our justice system.
Legal system, justice system.
It's all corrupt.
Do you want to hear an interesting fact about our criminal justice system here?
Okay.
So.
Do I?
So here's a crazy thing. There's a stat out there that shows that 1% of criminals commit 63% of all crimes.
What does that mean?
So that means that if there's 100 criminals, one of the criminals in 100, and then there's 100 crimes.
Yeah.
100 crimes.
That one committed 63 of those?
63 of all the crimes. The rest of the 99 commits the rest of the 37.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah.
But what does that mean?
If we have a legal system where we take people in and we spit them right out, and we spit those 1%ers out.
Right, and they're
just going to keep committing all the crimes.
Yeah.
They don't care.
No, it's nice, though, because they'll track them, be like, hey, go to this website so you can see where this one guy that committed a pedophile thing happened. And you can see him on this indicator. So, I mean, that's nice.
So, here's another thing. Where we live, the justice system is so bad that our downtown system is ruined. It's absolutely ruined.
No one goes downtown.
Especially after 5.
But they keep trying, though. Let's keep spending tons of money.
Let's keep putting millions of dollars in it.
So that people will go down there. Guess what? It's not working. Why? Because let's ship a bunch of homeless people here because of the safe injection site that we have randomly built because we think it's going to solve people's problems with their addictions.
Yeah. I wouldn't even trust you walking in downtown during the daytime.
I literally worked downtown and I feared for my life every time I walked from my car.
Yeah.
Because I was like, someone walking past me is going to stab me. I literally could not walk downtown without being scared. Yeah. Because even in pure daylight.
Yeah, pure daylight. There's a pretty nice park in the middle of downtown and Nobody goes there.
No one
Why?
goes there.
Because homeless people like to stay there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, infested with them.
Yeah. And then let's have a bright idea of building a children's park in the middle of that park.
Let's spend more money into it. Hopefully people try
Millions
to
of dollars. Yes, that will do. So again, like our system is
all right, let's
so
move on to the
wild.
ingestion site you speak of. It was an idea that was implemented because they thought that it would reduce crime, it would reduce disease, it would reduce just needles everywhere. You know what I mean?
Right, because we had a big thing of needles being found in children's parks.
Pretty much. So they're like, okay, if everybody comes to this injection site and does it there, they will not do it anywhere else. And here's what we're going to do. We'll give you free needles and we'll give you all the stuff you need to do drugs in this space.
And guess who's paying for that?
Yeah.
We are.
So it's almost just an all-you-can-eat buffet, just come on in, we'll give you everything.
Seriously. They had to bring their own drugs though, right?
I hope so.
Dear God, I hope so.
But then again, it's carrying drugs that's illegal.
Right. Because
you could be high and people can't arrest you for being high.
Right.
But if you carry it, then it's an offense.
Right.
So these people are coming in and it's just like, why not arrest them?
Because they're carrying the drugs.
So
no, because they're going to the safe injection site, which means
where they're safe.
Where they're safe. And if you're gonna do the drugs, we're gonna take care of you while you're withdrawing and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And another thing, we personally know, so we have the Narcan that revives people from overdosing.
Mm-hmm. Overdosing was a big issue too, yes, because of the
we had
fentanyl crisis, and that was another thing for safe injection, yes.
Yes. So thanks for the statement. But literally, we have known somebody that has been used Narcan over 12 times.
Yeah, and it makes me think because we live in such a weak society, and we're so used to it, right? We're so used to seeing all this stuff. I would love to just go to a normal city for once, to be honest with you.
Yeah, see what the difference is.
Yeah, that's not infested with homeless people, with drugs, with crime rates, with all this weird stuff that's going on. Mm-hmm. It would be just an eye-opening experience. We're so used to it. It's crazy.
Right. And like another thing is, I am not opposed to helping people less fortunate than us.
Of course. That's why Canadians.
Yes, right. And I consider myself a humanitarian, even though like liberals would not consider me that. But when I get asked for change from a homeless individual and I give them $2 and they say to me, "Is that all you have? Can I have more money?"
That's when you know inflation is bad. When homeless people.
Seriously. So you're like, this won't buy me anything.
This won't buy me anything.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I should look at it like that. But I'm like, bitch, nah. Like,
hell no.
And this
it's crazy because like food bank, they're increasing. The amount of people going food bank, I think we're at 2 million people across the whole nationwide at 2 million.
And why do you think that is? I can tell you why, because we're like, here.
Here, you don't need to get a job, and we'll give you food.
Exactly.
And we'll give you
why better
rent.
yourself when you can just take it?
Here, take it all.
Yeah. This middle-class person has money
here.
Take it.
Socialism works, yes.
Yeah, let's all be equal. And that Justin's plan is to make everyone freaking equal. In my eyes. He wants everyone to be like Cuba.
Yeah. I mean, his plan is just to. I don't see like this. I'd be surprised if he even has a plan.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt someone that evil definitely has plans.
Yeah.
How are we, as a family, surviving even at this point?
Financially, what we're doing for family is we're looking at other ways to generate income because we know that if we had a 9-to-5 job, it's just not going to sustain your life.
Well, I mean, that 1% cost of living increase.
Yeah, you're not going to retire for a while if you're going to keep doing what we're doing before. So that's a big thing. And then education, we're strongly thinking about homeschooling because we don't trust the public education with what they're doing, with their agenda and
which
curriculums.
We have a video coming out about that soon as well.
Yes, we do have a video.
So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, and so those are the really two big things. Of course, trying to improve ourselves because we know that we can't change the country.
We
if
can
we
only
can't change ourselves.
Yeah.
So that's another big thing too. You know,
Yeah.
we're not trying to let this bring us down too much and get in our heads too much, because at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's a cycle. You know what I mean? We're gonna have good times and bad times. Fortunately, we're living bad times right now.
Yeah. For years.
For a little bit, yes.
For a little bit, yeah. Hopefully we get out of the trenches soon. I just pray for hope. That's all. You know?
We got the federal election coming out in October.
I think they've passed that closer now.
Is it?
I think. I mean, I could be wrong. Well, I just saw something about from that email about it being in March now.
Oh, in March. Well, no, March is so what Justin Trudeau has done is that he has prorogued his position till March. So what this means is that there's nothing much that the other parties can't push in a no vote confidence right now until March.
Right.
So he's basically suspended Parliament till then. And so after that, then Pierre can, throw a no vote and do a re-election. We'll see what happens with that. But yes, what I said from the beginning is that, we could potentially see 3 prime ministers in 1 year, because we got Justin Trudeau left. And then after that, the Liberal Party will find a new leader of their party. So that's going to be prime minister. That's 2 prime ministers. And then Pierre's going to come in. So it's going to be 3 prime ministers in 1 year.
Right.
And it just goes to show how much a shit show we're in right now.
Yeah.
Yep. And on top of that, we got Trump wanting to take over Canada as a 51st state.
I say bring it on, man. We need it.
Yeah.
I mean, Alberta has been wanting to separate, just like Quebec has for years. At this point, Alberta has been so poorly shit on that we're like,
Absolutely.
get us out of here.
Yeah.
Like
we have
you
no
can't
help.
even, you don't even consider us Canadian anymore. So let's just like big F you, basically.
Honestly, we're getting at such a low point where if Trump did take us over, especially Alberta, it's being Alberta really sucks because we're landlocked. We have enough oil to supply many countries in this world, but we have to go through BC, we have to go through Saskatchewan, all the way to Ontario, and those provinces will say no to our pipelines. A couple months ago, Germany and Japan came to us and said, we need energy resources from you guys. Can you guys supply it? And we're like, no, we can't. And we have, I think, top 5 largest oil reserve in the world, and we can't even ship it to anywhere because we have no help from the federal side.
Yeah, that's so true.
So we can make money, but
isn't that a red flag again? Like from Justin Trudeau? Come on, the fact that you're not willing to share the resources with other, like...
Well, he's
against the oils.
Exactly. He's for
that
the
is
solar
made from
panels.
like everything. So I guess take your friggin' shirt off then, I guess.
Yeah, exactly, right?
And
he flies over the world because he's such a Yeah,
like,
anyways, the future in Canada, Pierre will win. There's no doubt about it. He's not
going to be able to do anything.
Is he going to win majority? There might be a chance he might even win majority. If he wins a majority, that would be the best thing. And I know what you're saying about does not have a chance, but if he wins majority, he can shift things around. It won't be quick though.
No.
That's what we have to realize. It won't be
immediate. And that
if Pierre gets a majority, things will turn around. And the first thing that he said he's going to axe is the carbon tax. He's been on that his whole campaign. So we're going to see lower prices for gas, which is nice. Because, even, our carbon tax, it affects a family a lot with traveling and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think just like all this to say this isn't our typical type of video. We're not going to do this all the time.
Yeah, but we just want to give you a perspective.
Yeah, and like...
from a family's perspective. Things are looking up, but it won't be a quick fix. With what he's done to us in almost a decade, it's going to take a little bit to readjust everything. So that's pretty much Canada in a nutshell. It's pretty bad over here, but we're surviving. Hopefully with the next election, everything will slightly turn around and things will be back to normal. But I do say that, we are thankful that we have a family, we have a roof overhead, and we have, heat that comes in and water that works. So there are a lot of things that, of course, we're not undermining, but at the same time, we are a first world nation. So there are expectations that needs to be met. And when we are lacking economically, especially compared to the US, and when Canadians can't afford homes, that's when problems can arise, and is really making us question the leadership of this country. And so I hope that you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on the next video.